Hey Savvy people, it's Savvy Nick here, and today I plan on continuing with the Python tutorial and learning about Python. This will be the last video in the following along with me on the Python tutorial here on python.org. We've learned a lot along the way, and what we've learned really is setting up our environment, being able to install Python, how to create our first program. We learned about flow controls, data structures, classes and objects. We also learned about modules, input and output, errors and exceptions. And we took a little brief tour of the standard library and some of the functions and modules they contain. And today we're going to go over virtual environments and packages. That should be the last portion of the Python tutorial here on python.org. So, like I said, I'm going to plan on finishing up things today. By talking about virtual environments and packages. Then we'll discuss a little bit about what's to come next, what I'm going to do with the series after we finished up today, and probably open up the chat to some questions if you have any. And I'll just take some software engineering or Linux questions, and then see if I can get around to answering those questions for you. And if you're new and stopping by to watch the stream today, make sure to subscribe below and hit the notification bell for future streams and videos. And if you're new with me or you're with me at all, go ahead and hit that like button. It really does help me out. All right, so let's jump in real quick and get going with this. So we have virtual environments and packages. So introduction. Python applications will often use packages and modules that don't come as a part of the standard library. Applications sometimes need a specific version of a library because the application may require that a particular bug has been fixed, or application may be written using an obsolete version of the library's interface. This means it may not be possible for one Python installation to meet the requirements of every application. If an application A needs version 1.0 of a particular module and B needs 2.0, then the requirements are a conflict, and installing either one or two will leave the other application or one application unable to run. So the solution for this problem is using virtual environments, a self-contained directory tree that contains a Python installation for a particular version of Python plus a number of additional packages. Different applications can then use different virtual environments to resolve the earlier example of conflicting requirements. Application A has its own virtual environment and version 1.0 installed, while the application B has a different virtual environment with version 2.0. If the application B requires a library be upgraded to version 3, this will not affect the other application's A's environment. All right, so that's a nice feature to have, although it is a little annoying that, if you go to another package that might be updated, it might break a code. So that it's not the best thing to have to keep track of packages and their version, but they do have this workaround. So it's creating a virtual environment. And in these virtual environments, at least the way that they explained it above, it sounds like it's a directory that has a few things in it, such as packages specific to that version of Python and whatever version of Python that you're using. And then you can use, good to see you, Matsu. Nice to have you. So you'll have the current, whatever version of Python that you have in the environment, then you'll have probably a directory that holds very specific modules and versions of those modules specific to that version of Python. And you can go between them. Let's say you have a really old program that used a really old package and they've updated the package or module and now you can't use it anymore. Well, you can go ahead and go back to your virtual environment, test out the program with the old packages, and it would still work. Now, I don't know necessarily about how you would package things up yet yourself and distribute that program with obsolete packages. So that's an interesting thing to look up at some point. But for now, we'll just accept the fact that we have to use virtual environments in order to do our programming if we have obsolete packages. So it says here, in order to create a virtual environment, find a directory you want to place it in, and run the venv module as a script with the directory path. So you can see what they did was type in Python 3-m virtual environment and then a tutorial environment. So it's going to create a directory called tutorial environment if it doesn't already exist, and it will contain a copy of the current Python interpreter, the standard library, and various supporting files. So let's see if we can do that real quick. Why not? So I'm going to do this in my Python folder. And let's see if I can do Python 3-m venv tutorial. And did not work. Let me try instead of Python 3, Python. All right, something's happening. And it's done now. Oh, Brad, hi to you too. Nice to have you here. Thanks for coming. All right, so it did something down here. I'm going to make this a little bigger. So what did it do? Not so sure. Should have created a directory. So I think if we list out the directories or files in here, we should see a new directory. Now, do we? Yes, we do. Tutorial environment. So let's go ahead and change into that directory. So this is our new environment. And you can see that it has a few things. It has pyv environment config, a config file, some scripts, libraries, and an includes folder. So just like they mentioned here, this is how you create your virtual environment. And it created a folder, tutorial environment. Of course, you can change this to anything you want. It's going to go ahead and create the folder of the name that you put here. So a common directory location for a virtual environment is .venv. This name keeps the directory typically hidden in your shell and thus out of the way, while giving it a name that explains why the directory exists. It also prevents clashing with .env environment variable definitions, files that some tooling supports. Once you've created a virtual environment, you may activate it. So it says we can do it this way by activating a script or a bash file, or batch file, I should say, for Windows. So since we're using Windows, we'll go ahead and see if we can run that. They're saying that it's in this tutorial environment that we created under scripts, and it's called activate bat. So if I do, should be able to do, oh, it's not right. Let's just go into scripts, print that out, and let's see if I can activate this. .bat. All right, it did something, didn't tell us anything. This script is written for bash shell. If you can use CSH or fish shells, there is an alternative. So if you're using CSS or fish shells, go ahead, use the .csh file or the activate.fish respectively. Activating the virtual environment will change your shell's prompt to show what virtual environment you're using and modify the environment so that you're running Python. Python will get you a particular version of an installation of Python, for example. So they did activate. Then they typed in Python. Okay. Okay. So from what I'm understanding here, is they created this virtual environment, and then they switched over to it by hitting activate or running the activate.bat file. So we can also run the deactivate.bat file to go out of the virtual environment. So I assume now Python always defaults to this virtual environment, but I'm not sure that you can tell whether or not it went into the virtual environment. They don't really specify anywhere where they tell you, hey, you're in this new virtual environment. Maybe they tell you, let's see. No, I don't see anywhere where they tell you. Oh, okay. They're telling you right here. So what they do is they call import sys, and then they do sys.path. Okay, so these are all my paths to libraries, and well, specifically Python modules and libraries. But is my environment in here? I don't see it. I don't see it in here. Nothing mentions the desktop, so interesting. Anupam, hey there. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us today. So where we're at, we're just trying to learn about virtual environments here. This part of the tutorial, I think they could have went a little more in depth here. I don't know whether I'm actually in my virtual environment or not. I assume I am because I activated it, but that assumption could be very wrong. So let's see if I can exit out of here. And I'm just going to run the deactivate batch file. This should deactivate our environment. Let's see what kind of change we get in here. I don't see anything really different. So hard to tell whether we've changed virtual environments or not. It's something to know about. Clearly, virtual environments exist in case you want to run older modules, packages, what have you. You can always run it in a virtual environment that won't affect your normal environment, and you can have multiple environments and go between them if you have different programs with different packages. It's something nice to know. And if you're new and stopping by to watch this today, please go ahead and hit that like button at this point, and it really does help me out. So let's talk about managing packages with pip. But before we do that, I'd like to say that this is the very last stream, at least for this tutorial setting, that we've been using to go through the basic documentation on how to use Python from the python.org website. I plan on taking some questions here at the end of all of this if anyone wants to stay around, and that way you know about it. We're going to talk about subjects that you're interested in, specifically for me, engineering, Linux, and software. Moving on to using pip and what pip is good for. Now, we haven't mentioned pip up until now, and what it does is it helps us manage packages. So you can install and upgrade and remove packages using a program called pip. Pip will install packages from Python Package Index. So if you want to look at various packages available, you can go to PyPI, and see all the various different packages that are available. There's quite a lot of projects and releases. So you can imagine if you want to do something, it's probably already programmed for you, or at least to make your life a little easier. So always a good place to start in order to search through projects. But going back to here, So okay. Nikhil, nice to have you. So they're still in their tutorial environment. Let me just take another look at that real quick because I'm interested. Activate pip Python. Okay. So they did pip search astronomy. So with astronomy, this is basically a subcategory or a topic. And it spits out a bunch of stuff for them that's available in astronomy. So let me see if I do that real quick. I'm going to go back a couple directories here to my Python. And if I do pip search, I don't know, let's just use astronomy since they have it there and we know that works. There we go. We get a whole bunch of packages that relate to astronomy. Now, nice to see Owie Shake. Okay, so that's a bit of a throwback there. Hey, Savvy, Nick Savvy, Dev here. All right, so if we want to install pip, we can do it using Python. I have this page here in front of me. This is from some documentation from, let's see, I think it's from Python as well. And it says here, if you want to install pip, so it doesn't come standard. You'll have to install this. For Windows here, we can use curl and then this URL. And we're going to output a get-pip.py file, so a Python file. And using Python, we can go ahead and install then by doing python get-pip.py. After it's installed, you'll actually have a little readout in your terminal that tells you might want to add this thing to your environmental path, so make sure you do. Make sure you go into your environmental path, edit it, put it in path as a new entry, and put in the folder or directory where the pip binaries have been installed. That way you can access it from anywhere in the system. I'll be showing that in a later video, I'm sure, but just so you understand that right now I'm doing pip, but I've already installed it. So don't worry if you don't have it, you'll have to install it. It's fairly easy to install. I had no issues. Just, again, don't forget about the environmental path and adding it into there. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it system-wide. So they told us about pip search astronomy. And why this thing is so great is because it manages packages on the fly, no problem, by just doing some simple commands and boom, they're thrown in and we can use them right away. All right. So what they do here is they install the latest version of a package by specifying the package's name. So I don't know, something that we're interested in. You don't really get too much of a, a description here on the right hand side. So Python astronomy package for HIPS, not sure what that is. Radio astronomy building blocks, no clue, so on and so forth. But I'm sure you can look these packages up after you've looked through all that's available in a category. So I wonder if, let's just try pip search. And let me see if I can find auto, like for vehicles. So these, nope, auto test. There is a bunch of auto, but let's do car. Is there anything existing for car? Tesla token. Huh. All right. There's quite a bit here available. Let's see what else. How about JSON? A tiny tool to sort keys in a JSON file. Alright, why don't we just combine the best parts of JSON and use micro JSON for fast serialization. I don't know, let's just grab this real quick just to give it a shot. So fast JSON, if I want to install a new package, it's as simple as finding the package name and doing pip install and fast JSON. So now it's going to take a few moments here, and while that's going, we'll read more about this. So do you want a specific version of a package? So if we do, we can by requesting the version, and it'll tell you whether or not it has that version, and you can download it. But here it just shows you pip install requests, and then it does 2.6. If you rerun this command, pip will notice that your requested version is already installed and do nothing. You can supply a different version number, or you can run pip install upgrade a package to the latest. So that's how you install packages, or sorry, upgrade packages. So you do pip install upgrade and then your package name. And if you want to uninstall a package, pip uninstall. Pip show if you wanted to have some information about a package. So let's go back in here. Alright, so we have some errors. Failed to build micro JSON. That's probably because we're missing something. Okay, error Microsoft Visual C++ 14 is required. So we can get this, or we can just try installing something else. I don't know. I did, I think I got, well, here's a good example. The other day, I think, let's see, I got the WX Python. So let me see if I can do that. WX Python again. See if it finds it. So yeah, here it says it's already satisfied. WX Python is here, located. It's this version of the package. So I have WX Python. Well, after I got WX Python, and first let's go ahead and do pip show WX Python. And it tells you a little bit about it. It says it requires a few packages, and what its name is, the current version, what it is, a little bit, and who created it. And then I went ahead and just used something real basic from them in order to create a window and display something. So if I run this, you can see here, this actually creates a little window with a button, and then you can open up some sub menus, and you have a title, and you have a full-fledged working kind of GUI program that you can open up, maximize, minimize, change the size of it. And this is all running through a Python program using the module WX Python, which is just a library of objects for the GUI. And these are just provided for you. It's basically a framework that you can use in order to go ahead and build various different graphical programs cross-platform. I think you can use this all on Linux, Windows, as well as Mac. So it's cross-platform, very nice, uh, very nice package, really easy to install. As you saw, all you have to do is pip install wx python, and as long as you meet the dependencies, you will have it, and you can include it in your program. And all I had to do is do this import wx. And then you can follow their little guide. It's pretty easy to follow. I mean, this is almost a copy and paste from them. I was just trying to modify it a little bit to add a button. So, got a question. Since you made the GUI, do you think Py can be used instead of C or C#? Sure. I mean, you can. I haven't figured out, or haven't done yet, how to package this out to a user. You know, you don't want every user to have to go ahead and install your particular version of Python and all that fun stuff in order to run stuff. So I wonder if they have a way to release an executable with Python runtime built in and all that fun stuff, so they can just run it on their computer. Now, do I think it replaces one of the others? No, just because if let's say I want to run a program that's very time stringent, I probably wouldn't want to create it in Python because it requires a runtime. I would probably just go with C++ or C at that point. So let's say I wanted to talk to hardware directly. A lot of this, I mean, you could still talk to hardware directly, but you can't really manage memory directly, or not easily, with Python. And two, you're really just using C++ wrapper in order to talk to hardware anyway. So you can imagine Python might have a module available for it, and that module allows you to talk to the hardware or the operating system, but it's really just code that's ran in C and C++ that's wrapped by Python code, meaning Python code gets translated to C and C++ code for you, and it's executed and comes back with some information for you, and then you can use that information in Python instead. But yeah, I would separate those. Yeah. But if you wanted a very easy GUI, yeah, I'd go with this. I mean, it's so easy just to go ahead and use pip install wx python, and you're off. That's a great thing. I mean, this is very minimal as far as setup goes, especially compared to something like C and C++, where you have to compile your libraries for the specific system that you're using, and then you can use them. That can become a nightmare. So yeah, like Nicole said, they all have their own uses and pros and cons. It's a great way to put it. All right, so now we kind of understand how to use pip. You can also uninstall a package using pip uninstall and the package name. We already did pip show. Pip list will show a list of packages installed in the current environment. So let's go ahead and check that out. So what do I got? Pip list, what have I installed? So quite a bit. So we talked about WX Python a little bit, but there's an Android package. Colorama is sort pillow. I'm sure these are all just dependencies. I haven't really messed with this at all, so yeah. Let's see. Pip list. Did it. Pip freeze requirements. Pip freeze will produce a similar list of installed packages, but the output uses the format pip that pip install accepts. A common convention is to use a requirements text file. Okay, so all it does is displays information about your packages in a different way into a text file. So what they did is they did pip freeze and put pip freeze into a text file called requirements, spit out what was in requirements, and it shows you the package name as well as the version number. The requirements text can be committed to a version control and shipped as a part of an application. Users can then install all necessary packages with install R. So this is great, right? This is how you get away with using specific packages or versions of packages. What you can do here is generate this requirements text file that will automatically spit out all the current packages that you have and require for a specific environment. So let's say we'd build our environment. We'd only use our environment to program in. After we're done, we'd generate this requirements.txt file. And following that, whenever we ship out our program, we have the requirements.txt file, and the user who's using your program can easily install all dependencies and the specific version numbers that you require by doing pip install -r and then running it on the requirements text file. And it shows you it found 3 packages here, and it's going to install them, and they're very specific build version numbers. It's a great thing to know how to use. And it says pip has a lot more options. Go ahead and reference the Python modules guide in order for complete documentation. All right, so we learned a bunch about pip and virtual environments. That was a short chapter. So we move on to 13. What now? What do we do now? We've learned everything we can from the Python tutorial, it seems like. And if you made it this far, thank you for following along, and congratulations. We're ready to program. Also, if you're just stopping by to watch a stream, please make sure to hit that like button. It really does help me out. So what now? Well, now I think I'm going to be continuing on programming. And what I want to do, I'm interested in using that WX Python GUI framework that I mentioned. And I am going to reference the video I did on C and C++, and I am going to create a simple list program using Python instead. Then we can have a good comparison against the two and how I would create the program that just keeps track of a simple list of items. And I'll be doing that probably in another series that won't be streamed. It'll be a little bit more put together. That way everyone can follow along, install the proper tools, packages, create a good environment, and just go through how to create a nice little program. And I'd like to include a GUI in this one. So we'll take it to the next level. We'll go ahead and apply a graphical user interface so you can manage your list and keep track of multiple users' lists, so their to-do items or reminders, whatever. So this will be a little more advanced than the C++ one, but that's because Python lends itself to be a little easier to work with. So I think I can get it done a little quicker this time. So also, if you have some questions, you can go ahead and post them in the chat right now. Software engineering or Linux questions, or if you have anything else, I might try and answer it, but I might also skip it. So we'll go ahead and spend some time. Just Haskell. Can't even say I've used Haskell. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Haskell, programming language, generally statically typed, purely functional. Oh, it's a functional language. Haskell. Haven't heard about it. It's an interesting, used in architecture, engineering, construction, consulting. That seems a little rough. Type interface, lazy evaluation. Okay. Yeah, it's something to check out. Have never heard of it. I think I'm going to continue doing live streams, but I I think I'm going to focus on some more Linux topics. I might be installing, different versions, different distributions of Linux, and then just using them, trying to get around, seeing what's new, maybe programming in them, stuff like that. I think I'm going to do that with my future streams. That way we can have a better following, people who are more interested in Linux as well as programming and all the other fun stuff. So I think that's kind of the future of streaming. We'll see how that goes. And then let's see, what else do we have here? So we actually have some interactive input editing and history substitution. So it says, what now? Reading this tutorial has probably reinforced your interest in using Python. You should be eager to apply Python to solving your real-world applications. Where should you go to learn more about it? Okay. That's not a bad idea. You want to watch me struggle while trying to customize my desktop environment? Yeah, I guess we could maybe do that. That's a good idea. At least that will force me to finally do it. I mean, I got i3 GApps installed on Arch Linux, and I have not used it yet. I mean, I did barely, but maybe we can do that. And we can take questions, learn about Linux, and do some customization of the desktop. So they do have some more documentation available. It says what now, right? So they have the Python standard library. So this is actually everything included in the standard library, which there's a lot to go through. But it's good to know about. I mean, reading through here, at least familiarize yourself with the types of data types, exceptions, services, math functions, functional programming modules, how to access directories, compressing and archiving, persistence, formats, operating system stuff. I mean, there's a ton here, and it's good to know about all of this. At least the tools that you're going to use. You could very simply, go through the list and at least familiarize yourself or make a cheat sheet of available functions and the subcategories that you're interested in. That way you never miss out. Imagine writing some complex function that already exists. Why do it over again? Why reinvent the wheel, right? Does anyone in the live stream have a preference in a programming language? Anything you like to use? Or perhaps that you want to learn that you haven't had time to learn. We've learned Python together, at least gone through the tutorial together here, the very basics. Are you able to program in Holy C? I've never even heard of Holy C, so that's another new one. So let's look that up. Holy C is a variation of C developed by Fiddle Programming Language. Okay. Huh. No, this is something very, very niche. I've never heard of this. Temple OS. Yeah, no clue what this is. So we also have installing Python modules. So another neat reference is it goes a little more in depth here about how to install the various different packages from pip. You can also use multiple versions of Python and use pip to install some packages for that version of Python. So, if you're using Python 2 for some reason and you compiled your program with Python 2 and ran it in the runtime of Python 2, you probably want a package for Python 2. Now Python 3 point whatever we're at, 3.8, 3.4. I think 3.8. Python B? Yeah, 3.83. What about... So that's another thing, installing Python modules. They talk about that here. Try the Python language reference, a detailed explanation of Python syntax and semantics. It's heavy reading, but it's useful. So yeah, I'm sure it is, but like it said, it's probably real heavy reading. So where do I have that? So the Python language reference. Yeah, we'll do some more live streams here in the future. There's always plenty to cover. And I'd also like to be able to, interact more with the chat, answer questions, go through stuff, learn together. That's always great. I find that a lot funner than me just reading off of a screen and doing random stuff. But so this reference manual here is, again, very extensive. This will teach you how to properly program in Python, what terms are being used, how to actually format and keep everything. Gentoo. No, yeah. I don't think I'm gonna be doing that one in the live stream. It takes long enough just making a video about it, let alone streaming about it. It'd be like a 3-hour stream with me banging my head up against the wall. So yeah, this really helps us concrete our understanding about all the various semantics inside of Python, what words mean, terms mean in Python, as well as how to structure our Python programs. So if you're very interested in how to properly program with Python, you're not just trying to go through and make something real quick and easy. You really want to understand how to make your program flow, at least according to the creators of Python. This is probably your best reference. Again, a lot of stuff to cover in here. Just go to one of these sections. So here it just explains each individual keyword, like the while, if statement, for statement, so on and so forth, and gets into the nitty-gritty here about what it does, what it's used for, how it shows up. It just kind of extends your knowledge on the various different types of keywords, as well as, all of these other statements that are used. I don't think they call them keywords. I think they call them statements in here. Quick, fun program right now in Python. I don't even know what I could do right now, honestly. I haven't really thought about it, so I don't think that's going to quite happen right now. We did the rock, paper, scissors thing not that long ago. I can rewatch that. I don't even know. Usually it takes a little bit of planning. It takes a little bit of planning, understanding. See, I don't like approaching programming in a sense where you just open up a program, you start writing it, open up a IDE and you start writing your program out, because you're probably missing the core there. Sometimes you need a plan before you start. And I think that's particularly important with programming anything. You kind of want some pseudocode at the very least, but kind of a high-level understanding of how you're going to create your program. Otherwise, you're not really going to understand what you did. You're just going to go through and try to brute force it, try to make things work, not understand what you were doing, and you don't get as much out of it as you could. If you take the time, write down what you want to accomplish, write some general, pseudocode, all without using, just use basic language. Write sentences of what you want to do, and then apply that to code. That's the best way for me. And think about how you would divide and conquer your divide and conquer by using object-oriented programming. So make sure that anything that can be reused or will get reused can have its own class or object, and separate the files together with things that make sense together. That helps you concrete stuff a little bit more. If you have a simple suggestion, I can go ahead and give it a try, but perhaps we can... I don't know. I haven't thought about a program that I can do that's simple. I mean, we're going to do the simple list soon. But that one's pretty self-explanatory. Let's see. All right, so let me see if I can bring up Let me see if I still have... No, that's not it. Oh, tic-tac-toe is a good one. And I'm just trying to find that Arch Linux install that I have with i3 gaps on it. Haven't used this in a while, so... Yeah, tic-tac-toe is a good idea. I think I'll be able to do that next time. I'll plan on that. That'd be fun. I thought I had it here. Maybe I got rid of it. Hopefully not. No, this is Arch Linux right here. Oh, okay. I just didn't log in. Here we go. So this is an Arch Linux install with i3 gaps. Now I've totally forgotten how to even open up a window in i3 gaps. It's been so long since I've messed with this. What did I do here? I think I installed Polybar on here. What else did I do? Not sure. Something's going on in the background. It's not responding. Let me see. Thought it was too, but for whatever reason it's not working for me. So I'm starting to think I binded it to something else and then forgot what it was. Yeah, I probably... Man, what did I bind it to? Oop. Not what I wanted. Well, that's not going to help me out at all. I've totally forgotten what buttons I binded it to make a new window. I guess I can do the old-fashioned way of... That's not a bad idea. Let me see if I can do that. There we go. Well. All right. Good thinking. Use TTY, and it's in dot zip config. Okay. User config. i3 configs. All right. Nice. Mod 1. Mod return. If I'm reading this right, I think this bind system mod plus return actually creates a terminal, but it doesn't seem to be working for me for some reason. But maybe my mod button switched. That's what it is. Okay, I think I know what it is now. Now I got to get back to 6.7. Oh, great. For some reason, it's not letting me back in. Yeah, I think I just remember that it was Alt, but now I'm a little stuck, but no problem, we'll restart. Oh, TTY7 was good. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering which one it was. Thank you. I didn't go that far. All right, so Shift Enter. I mean Alt Enter. Cool. All right, now we got something. All right, so I finally have a terminal up in here, but not much to do. I can't. How do we minimize this? Well, not minimize it. Make the terminal smaller here. Let's see. Is it? No. Maybe it's... There we go. All right. And that's what it looks like so far. Nothing great. So all I did was install fetch in the background, or install fetch and then execute fetch to put a background image on. And then I started just briefly messing with the terminal and trying to make that a little bit different, but I haven't really got that far. I mean, all I think I did was I found something that can create the background as transparent. Didn't mess with it too much, but I also was trying to round the edges. There's quite a bit to do yet on this, though. Thanks for all the help, Awi Sheikh. That really got me through it for a moment there. But yeah, do you have an idea of what we can put in here? Maybe we can go back to, let's see, Vim. Let's see, what was I going to use? I also installed what else did I install? And it's been such a long time I can't even remember what I've done to this or not. So maybe we can, like you said, let's go to the i3 documentation. So sorry to switch this up on you guys, but we're we're done with the Python deal, so we're moving on. We're gonna do some open up terminal, move around. Oh wow. Yeah. We're just moving on, and we're just messing with Arch Linux here and using i3 gaps. Does it have drun? No, I don't know what drun is. Comments, font. Okay. So we can wonder if we can change up the font. All right. Compton. That's what I installed. Compton. All right. No. Font Pongo Manus. Okay. Font for Windows, tiles. Different font is used in the bar, so what do we got? Well, let's just try something a little different here. Let's do what they did here. Deja vu, because I don't know any of the font types, so I'll give this a shot. And restarting i3 gaps. How do I do that? Mod Shift R. Yeah, that didn't seem to work. Well, maybe it did. Yeah, it did. Yeah. Because my text changed up here on the top, in the title. Well, there you go. We changed the font around. So let's see if we do, the way we can tell, let's just make this a lot bigger. So 20 should be about twice as big here. And then look at that. Title changed. Yeah, you can do Mod Shift R. We shake if you want to just go ahead and reboot it, is what I figured out using this right here. It says Mod Shift R, restarting i3 in place. All right, so learned something new today. Can't say we haven't done anything. Completely opposite of what we started working with, but doesn't look like anyone has any questions. I will probably be ending this fairly soon. We've gone on about an hour. Next time, I think I'll either continue on with customizing this desktop environment in Arch Linux, maybe put a new background on, and start working on how this window looks. Well, I do appreciate everyone hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this stream and going through the tutorial using Python. Next time, I'm going to be moving on past Python. Do expect some videos to be coming out about Python. Really just setting up our environment and starting to program our very first program. I'm going to call it Simplest in Python. That is off topic. I'm not going to answer that one. But now we get into the more exciting world of programming, since we've gone through the entire tutorial here on python.org, at least the beginner's tutorial. And I'm very excited to go ahead and start programming. I hope you are too. And I hope you join me in learning about Python in the future and starting to program with Python. I'm very excited because it seems like it does have a lot of functionality that C and C++ doesn't, to get you to places a lot quicker. No problem, Matsu. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for everyone else for joining me today. I did enjoy going through this entire series with everyone. Thanks for supporting me on the channel and being a part of it. Couldn't do it without you guys. And I will continue the live streams. We'll have one next week, and expect a few more videos over the week. I'll be updating everybody soon on a couple things as well, so keep a lookout on the posts for the community discussion. All right. Well, thanks for watching.